Hi everyone, it's 9 o'clock Thursday night. It's time for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. Hello from me, Brent Graham. I'm coming to you from Randburg, South Africa, where it's a little bit dark all around us at the moment. We've actually got load shedding here, so I've got a couple of temporary lights on the go to at least light up my face a bit. And we've had a day without water. Can you believe it? What a place we're living in at the moment. But the water has come back, thank goodness. Well, I'm joined in the show by a man who, like me, was licking a few wounds after last weekend, although I think he managed to claw back a bit on the Saturday. And it's Henrik Swart. Henrik, that was a terrible Friday for us punting-wise, but I pretty much gave up on Saturday eventually. But I know you managed to claw yourself back. But, one of those weekends where the bookies just had my number.
Yeah, Brent, most of my calls on Thursday night last week on the show went belly up. Didn't have, if you look back on my calls on the show, it wasn't a good show for me. And then like you said, on Friday, I lost Friday morning on Super Rugby, which is actually, it happens most of the time. So for some reason, it's just tough to win on Super Rugby on a Friday morning. And then you have to chase, you don't have to, but it's just my style.
It's not compulsory.
I don't give up. I don't like the bookies beating me, so I always try and get back what they take from me. And I chased on Western Province, and that was really bad. Just before halftime, just before Greek scored that try, just before halftime, I was actually quite confident that Western Province with minus is going to come through, the overs is going to come through, and both lost easily in the end, especially the minus. Nowhere in the Greek was very good in the second half. Sorry, I'm babbling now a bit. And then I didn't want to get involved in the Bulls game, but when you lose, you look for opportunities to get the money back, and took the Bulls minus. Lost there again. And after that, it was going to be a losing weekend, just a matter of how much. And luckily, I took some back on Saturday, but still well done last weekend. So I'm not confident, obviously, going into this weekend. Haven't looked a lot at rugby, but we can speak, and hopefully, in my experience as well, when you go into weekends like this, somehow you actually show profit. So hopefully it's a good opening.
Often going in too confident is not a good thing there. But I actually ended up, I was so punch drunk, I actually limited the damage by effectively stopping. I think I watched cycling or something like that. But guys, just to mention, we're trying out a new giveaway tool here. It's part of the sort of package that we've got here. So we're giving away a free bet with PokerBet on the Rugby World Cup 2023, a 500 Rand bet. All you got to do to enter on one of your posts is use hashtag RWC. That's, of course, Rugby World Cup in the live chat, and you will automatically be entered. In fact, I'll bring up the tool now. You'll see, I can't quite see there how many there are, but we'll do the draw at the end of the show. So you'll know by the end of the show whether or not you're going to be winning that. So that's the 500 Rand voucher there. Reminder also, you can subscribe to our newsletter down below. That was one of the few bets that arrived last week. I took Bulls over 3.5 tries at halftime, so it was nice to at least hit that. But it really was kind of like a lonely winner, if I can put it that way. Right, let's get into the rugby itself now, Henrik. We've got 8 games to talk about today, less than usual because, of course, we're into the Super Rugby Pacific Quarter-Finals. And I'm going to get you cracking with the first game, which is exactly where I handicapped it. Blues minus 18.5 against the Waratahs. And we got a points line of 59.5. You know me, I'm a big fan of the minus quite often if I like the favorite in playoffs. But, we've got some big ones this weekend. What are your views there?
Yeah, Brent, you've been speaking about this for years, ever since we've been speaking with each other about betting that in playoffs. You tend to think that it should be close, but I know you like the minus mostly. But like you said, this is a big one. And the Blues, they are good in Auckland. But the Waratahs, they were really poor last weekend, but they obviously they were not taking that game too seriously. It was the last game for Michael Hooper in Sydney. But like you say, it's a big one. I think the Waratahs might actually compete a bit here. The Blues, they've got Burden Barrett back at 10, so that's obviously a big plus for them. They've lost Patrick Tuipulotu, which is a big loss for him. He's been playing some good rugby. I saw he broke his arm, so he's probably going to be up for the World Cup as well. Not a good time to get that kind of injury. Brent, I think the plus is the way to go here. I'm not strong on any game this weekend, but yeah, that's the way to go. On points, the conditions look good, but Ben O'Keefe is the ref, and these days he's more of an unders ref. I know Reverend brought up earlier in the season or mid-season, he brought up a stat about Ben O'Keefe, and a lot of his games goes unders on total points. 59.5 points, that's a lot of points for a playoff, even though the Waratahs do ship points. I think unders is the way to go here. And I think with most of these playoffs, even though there should be 3 very dominant teams, I think the unders is the way to go, because even the favorites, their defense will be up for this because it's a playoff. So yeah, plus and the under 59.5 for me.
Yeah, Jason just coming on there earlier and just saying he's down the road from me, and I saw him last week at Smithians. It was good to see him there. He's saying his water is still off. So yeah, I guess I'm one of the fortunate ones that have got it back. Yeah, Henrik, looking at you there, I must say I can't bring myself to back the Waratahs plus, but I do quite like the unders on points. I can see this. If the Blues, for example, get out to a fairly comfortable lead, I can see them sort of defending that lead a little bit and really focusing on defense. And on the other hand, if the Waratahs make a contest of the game, then it'll be a pretty tight fixture anyway. So yeah, I'm kind of in alignment with you there, I think. Right, let's have a look at the next game, and then we'll pull in some of the comments as well. Henrik, Chiefs minus 22.5 against the Reds. There's been quite a bit of handicap movement here, and it's all in favor of the Chiefs. I think it opened up minus 18.5 or minus 19.5. That's very much where I handicapped it. And to be honest, at those levels, I was going to be climbing in on the Chiefs. But gee, it's just starting to edge up quite high now. 22.5 is a lot, and we got a points line here of 62.5. My immediate instinct is that might be a little bit on the high side, because Chiefs games are not always that high scoring. They've certainly, they themselves have got a pretty decent defense.
Yeah, Chiefs, they are the team to beat this year, and they will probably, it will take a lot from any of the other teams to take the title away from the Chiefs this year. I expect them to win the Super Rugby Pacific. This is an afternoon game as well, so it's a 6:30 South African kickoff, 6:30 the morning, Saturday morning. I'm not sure who the ref is here, because on the website I'm looking at, it lists Angus Gardner as the ref, but then the next game, the Crusaders versus Drua, it also lists Angus Gardner. So you can't be referring 2 games in 2 different cities in New Zealand next after one another. So he's obviously referring one of these 2 games, and he is a bit of an overs ref. But like you say, that is a big hand, big. The points is high. The handicap is starting to look a bit high as well when it goes over the 3 converted tries. But you can't really make a case for the plus against the Chiefs, although the Reds have been all right. Certainly last week they were terrible. I like the Reds to beat the Drua, and they were horrible, especially in that second half.
They are the only team to beat the Chiefs this season, of course, and that was away. But I think the Chiefs were perhaps not switched on for that game, and I think they might have rested a couple of players.
Yeah, so if anything, Brent, I would maybe look at an unders on Reds points here, because the Chiefs' defense has been good as well. And I think you might be able to get about 20 points on the Chiefs. Let's see, 19.5. Yeah, 19.5.
Yes, 19.5.
Yeah, I think that's, like I said, I don't like anything on this game, but I think that's the best of the lot on this one. Just a small play and 19.5 unders on Reds point here, because the Chiefs will be switched on for this one. And obviously there's a bit of revenge on this one, because the Reds has been the only team to beat them.
Right, just a reminder to the guys who've joined us late, you can enter that competition. Just use the word, or just use hashtag RWC in one of your posts, and you will be entered in that draw for the 500 Rand Rugby World Cup bet. Right, let's move on to the next Super Rugby game. It's our 3rd match, and the Crusaders hit home to the Drua here. This is also where I handicapped the game. I handicapped at 21.5. I think it also opened. No. I handicapped this game a little bit low. I handicapped it at 18.5, but I must be honest, I was leaning towards 21.5, and it's pretty much where it opened now. If anything, edged slightly for the Crusaders. I mean, the Drua, they haven't been anything like the same side when they played away from home, Henrik, and we've got a Crusaders side here. You would expect to win this fairly comfortably.
Yeah, Brent, like you say, you would expect the Crusaders to win comfortably. I've taken the Crusaders on a lot of times this season. In my opinion, not the Crusaders of old. But then again, like you said, they have not been that good away from home. But it is their first playoff. I think, yeah, it's the first time they've qualified for the playoffs. So they will be fired up for this one. But they had travel, and the Crusaders, they've picked a very strong team for this one. Yeah, yeah, it's tough. You can't go unders on draw games either. That's very. I took unders last week. I was lucky to get the early unders in that.
Yes, you were, yeah.
And luckily it came through. Where the point settled in the end before kickoff, that went over. So I was very lucky to get the unders. Probably Crusaders minus Brent, but yeah, not very strong. Yeah. I'm
Looks
sorry,
like-
I don't like anything
No,
on this game.
I'm with you 100%. You know, I mean,
maybe you have a stronger fancy than I have, but
No,
I
no.
don't like it because I
Not
don't
on
like
this game.
punting the Crusaders this year. So
Yeah, and I can't bring myself to back the draw on the road against the Crusaders. So if anything, I'd be a Crusaders minus punter. Yeah, I mean, I might probably wait on the day and get involved in the points. But even there, I'm a little bit undecided. This is a game I'm not terribly strong on, but I would probably go Crusaders. Yes, I agree with Farid. This is a crazy high cap. Crusaders, like Hendrik said, haven't beaten themselves. But yes, the draw on the road, I could see them almost thinking, job done getting to the quarterfinals. You've done pretty well, and I could see the Crusaders running away with this, but not a confident pick at all. Right, let's move on to the next game, and this is the only competitively priced game, Hendrik, of the weekend, and it's the Brumbies at home to the Hurricanes. We've got a points line here of 57.5 in Canberra, and this handicap appears to be quite stable. I'll tell you, I actually capped the Brumbies as favourites for this game. I thought they'd be like minus 2.5 point favourites, but the Hurricanes have opened up favourites and kind of held their ground in betting terms. What do you make of this one? I've got a bit of a fancy in this, but I'll wait for your comments first.
Yeah, Brent, after 4 Super Rugby games, this is my strongest fancy. I like the Brumbies to win here. And with my confidence being down a bit now, obviously not as strong as normally, but I like, yeah, I quite like them here. I think the Brumbies will beat the Hurricanes. The Brumbies have been good this year, and the Hurricanes, they've been hit and miss a bit. Last week they beat the Crusaders, but the Crusaders didn't really worry about that game. And the Crusaders actually at times looked like they're going to run away with the game. This Hurricanes team, even though they've got Ori Sevilla playing for them, they've got Brett Cameron at 10 now. Cam Roygaard, who will probably score a try here and there. Now, Brumbies all the way here. Brumbies set piece, I think, will trouble the Hurricanes a lot here. The Brumbies have got a very good maul. They've got a good line out. They've got a good scrum. Points wise, I'm not that sure, but I think Brumbies to win this game is a great bet.
Yeah, I see a bit of some Stephen Marks agreeing with us in the live chat for Reed Key. I know he said on Twitter earlier in the week he fancied the Hurricanes comfortably, but I'm with you, Henrik. For what it's worth, and I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but I'm rubber stamping this one for you. I do like the Hurricanes, and I think they're going to get up in what should be a close game. This is certainly one of those matches where you can look at the 1 to 12, probably points, a margin of victory, or even the other team by sort of 7 or less that's offered by Sunbet. I would say that those are the sort of things that could come up. Let's just quickly look at it. I won't bring this up for too long, but Harry Jones, who's going to be on the show again, who just posted this on Twitter. You can't see Hendrik and I now, but why they'll win, and these are his reasons. Chiefs obviously won 13 or 14. Why they lose, they could carded the most in the comp. Crusaders, why they'll win, they haven't conceded tries. They're the fewest tries against, but the Drua have no fear. Blues, best ruck and break, and he reckons that they could lose if there's food poisoning. Old Susie going over to Auckland there. And the Brumbies, they're plus 14 as far as the tries goes, but they're playing against the side who've got a plus 23. So that's Harry Jones's comments there. And I mean, Hendrik, as far as who's going to win the actual Super Rugby itself, I mean, you and I also, I think, very much aligned there on the Chiefs. I think they're about 23 to 20 to win. I'm not that keen to tie my money up for 3 weeks, but I'm battling to see them getting beaten.
Yeah, they're going to get short too, Brent. They're probably going to, like you said, just over even money at the moment. After they win this weekend, they're probably going to go down to about 6 to 10, even if you're lucky, 7 to 10 or thereabouts, 15 to 20 maybe. And then after that, for the final, they'll probably be about 3 to 10. If you're lucky, 4 to 10. But I can't see them being that big, actually. So if you like the Chiefs and you want to back them and you're happy to tie your money up for 3 weeks, it's 3 weeks, 2 weeks, but more 2 weeks.
Yes, 2 weeks.
I think now is the time to back them. And yeah, I think they will win the tournament. But yeah, Brumbies, that Brumbies game as well. I see Nick Berry is the ref, and he's the unders ref as well. And so yeah, I think maybe a bit of unders on Hurricanes points there as well.
2M Systems what should I say, mincing his words. Brumbies the best of a pathetic Aussie pack, but they still have too many holes. Yeah, it looks like there's certainly TK Wenger coming in and saying he likes Canes, but he does reckon the Brumbies will take it at home. Henrik, before we move on to Currie Cup, and just with this hashtag Rugby World Cup RWC competition in mind, I'm just quickly going to bring up the betting on the Rugby World Cup very quickly. This is now at PokerBet. France, they have the decimal in there, and I haven't figured out how to get fractions, which I enjoy, but basically just under 28 to 10. New Zealand, you can't actually see their price there because I've got the PokerBet logo up. That is 3 to 1. Ireland 4 to 1, South Africa 9 to 2, and then you get 9 to 1 England and 9 to 1 Australia. What are your thoughts at this stage? You're still firmly in the Bok camp?
Yeah, Brent, it's a one-horse race, Boks to win the World Cup. I can't see anybody beating the Boks. But if you're looking for value, I think Australia is the value. They're 9 to 10. They've got an easier path through the playoffs. So Australia, probably the value. I don't like England. I can actually see England not getting out of their group. They've got Argentina and Japan in their group, and I won't. I expect Argentina to do very well under Michael Cheika, and I can just see Japan maybe beating England and England not getting out of their group. Ireland, way too short in my opinion. Ireland they are very good at the moment, but if I were a bookmaker, I'd be happy to lay Ireland. New Zealand, obviously, way too short in my opinion as well. New Zealand, in my opinion, will get knocked out in the quarterfinals. The Boks or France will beat them, and then France will lose in the semifinals. So yeah, Boks for me and the value on Australia. What do you think?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I like the value on Australia as well. I do think they're going to get to the semis, and I think Australia, they use the likes of Skelton and that sort of stuff. They really. I was impressed with them even under Rennie at the end of year tour in November. So I like Australia there as the sort of dark horse. You know me, I love the French. So I do think French massive runners at home. But when I actually won one of these competitions with PokerBet a while ago, and my free bet, which was R1,000, I put on South Africa at the time. I think it's slightly shorter price to what they are now. But I do agree with you. I think the Boks and have got every chance of defending their title. Well, one thing for sure. You could just sense there are going to be some really close World Cup games, decided by a penalty in the last minute and stuff like that, which is really going to be great. Fareed says the World Cup will see a new winner, France or Ireland, but more likely France. Yeah, well, if it's France, I'll probably be quite happy for Fareed. But yeah, going to be very, very exciting World Cup, no doubt about that. Let's quickly. I'm quickly going to check in and see how many entries we've got to our hashtag Rugby World Cup. And we're sitting on 9 entries at the moment, guys. Unfortunately, one of those is mine, but I won't qualify for it if I win because I typed it up in the comments to start with it. But remember, just mention hashtag RWC and you'll get entered into that competition. Lay the All Blacks. Yes, Tika Wenga, we agree with you there on laying the All Blacks. And Dave reckons it's a one-horse race. I know he's commenting on Henrik's one-horse race.
One-horse race for the Boks.
Ireland.
Only the Boks can win it.
Yeah, Dave, what do you think, mate? Can Ireland take it? Anyways, let's move on to the Currie Cup now. We've got 4 games to talk about. This, of course, is the last round of Currie Cup action. And, a few of the games very important, a few less so. We've got the Griffins here against the Golden Lions. And the Lions must be kicking themselves for not only blowing the lead against the Sharks last week, but not actually picking up a bonus point, which would have given them... I mean, they do have a mathematical chance, but they need, like, rugby miracles to happen. They've got to take 5 points. They've got to hope the Bulls don't get a point, the Griquas lose. All and Western Province, a point above them as well. So they really need a miracle. Whereas if they'd had that bonus point and they won 32, they'd have much more of an outside chance. You'd consider them maybe, a reasonable chance. I don't know what their motivation levels will be, but Henrik, we've got a line of plus 23.5 handicap and a points line of 68.5. And after the Griffins-Bulls game last week, the Griffins themselves scored 33 points. Yeah, perhaps we'll get a high-scoring game here.
Yeah, you just have to hope that Amy doesn't chat too much to the players because she's refereeing this one. But yeah, Brent, I like the Lions here. They've picked their strongest team, so they want to go out and get the 5 points and have some like 1% or less than 1% chance to make the playoffs. They're not going to make the semis, but it looks like they're going to try and go. So minus 23.5 actually looks low because this is a good Lions team, and they've before losing to a very good Sharks team last week, they actually have been playing very good rugby. So I like the Lions minus here. Maybe a bit of unders on Griffin's points here as well. The Griffins scored a lot of points against the Bulls last week, but that was a strange game. It was very loose, and there was a big break in the game, so that made it tough. And the way the Bulls tried to play and score points, that played into the Griffins' hands in the end there. So yeah, I liked it minus 23.5 here, Brent. I think this handicap is about 7 points too low.
Right, a nice comfortable win for the Lions there. I don't think it's going to take much to get me on board with that one, Henrik. Right, the next game, which is actually one of my better bets of the weekend in the Currie Cup. We got the Griquas minus 3.5 against the Pumas. Points line of 59.5. If you look at the log here, they're 1 point apart from each other. The Griquas, by beating the Pumas, would effectively, I think they'd be pretty much guaranteed of a semi-final spot. The Pumas could lose and go through, but there is also a chance that the Pumas could go out, which would be a great shame for the defending champions after such a strong start to the season. Where are you going here, Henrik?
Yeah, Brent, I know what you like here, and I agree with you. I also like the Griquas here. And they last week in that second half against Western Province, they were so impressive, and they are being led exceptionally well by Andrew Sergel, one of the most underrated players in South Africa. I'm very surprised that he has not been picked up by a bigger union, especially somebody like the Cheetahs last year or the year before. I think it was last year. Gideon, what's the other flanker? He was still playing for the Gideon from the Marwe. He was still playing for Griquas, and I'm surprised that he got picked up before Andrew Sergel. In my opinion, Andrew Sergel is a much better player. But anyway, I like the Griquas minus here, and I think Marius is the ref in this one. Let me see, quickly check. Marius van der Westhuizen is the ref. 3 o'clock afternoon game. Is it? No, it's probably 5 o'clock. Can't be 3 o'clock. The other one is 3 o'clock. So 5 o'clock in Kimberley. Good conditions. I'd be looking at over some Griquas points here as well. There will probably be a few guys that would argue that it might be unders because it's two teams that are well balanced. Well balanced, yes, that's it.
Yeah.
So and
also both of them. It will be a very important game for both of them.
Yes,
as well. It's almost a quarter-final, you'd call this.
Yeah.
Well,
so for that reason, you might like the unders, but I think there might be points in this one as well. And I think the Griquas will keep playing. But I think the minus is just a better bet here. Minus 3.5 Griquas the way to go.
Fareed in agreement with us there on Griquas. Stephen Mark saying he might be one of the only guys on the Pumas. Yeah, I haven't heard many guys coming out in support, but it's always nice to hear someone else going against you because we all know that we all steam into the same thing together. It normally ends in tears. The points, Griquas points are 31 there. Peter Paul just making that comment, and somehow there we go. I've lost all the comments and all the banners. I pressed something on the screen there. Right, let's move on to the next game. Henrik, we've got the Blue Bulls minus 7.5 against the Cheetahs. The Bulls currently in 4th position. They essentially need to win this game, and they should be comfortably into the semis. But the Cheetahs they're 2 points behind the Sharks at the top of the table. So it's not as if the Cheetahs are going to sit back here and say, right, we've got our home semi-final, we're happy, because they need to put the pressure on the Sharks. But for me, I don't know if this current Cheetahs side has got what it takes to beat this Bulls team.
Yeah, Brent, the first 2 Currie Cup games that we have spoken about, it's quite clear what has to happen. But from here, it gets interesting because you've got Cheetahs who's already qualified, like you said, but they've got a chance to in top of the lot, but they can't lose the semi-final, so they will be second at worst. And like you said, they started the season off so well, and then from there they've gone downwards a bit. The Bulls, they are very desperate to win this one, but 7.5 is a bit big, eh? And I struggle to trust this Bulls team, like I said last week as well. I'm not going to take the minus. That 7.5 is too big in my opinion. I think a small play on the Cheetahs, because the Cheetahs, they will want to win this one, even though they have not been playing great. And I just think that might be the way to go. Points wise, what do either team need a bonus point here? The Bulls, if the Bulls win, they will be happy. Cheetahs
I think their points difference is superior to Griquas, because Griquas could, in theory, catch up, but if then Griquas are beating the Pumas, so the Bulls just need to win. In fact, the Bulls could lose and go through. It's possible, but they'll certainly go into this game thinking they need a win to progress.
And then that 16.5 actually looks big, because we have had a few Currie Cup games that have not been that high scoring. So under 16.5 for me on that one as well. But
I'm also thinking unders in a few of these. I think the Bulls will take their penalties as well in this game. At the end of the day, the winner is going to be the most important for them.
Yeah, not strong on any of those two for me, but the plus small play and probably a bit bigger play on the under 16.5.
Right, we're going on to the next Currie Cup game. I'm just double checking that I got my handicap correctly. Yeah, we got Western Province up against the Sharks, and yes, it's plus a half a point here for the Sharks. For Western Province. So this is a tight one. Now, Hendrik, this is a game where there could be some, like I say, if the Cheetahs are beaten by the Bulls, the Sharks are guaranteed top spot, and that changes everything then for the Sharks in terms of mindset. Whereas if the Cheetahs win, the Sharks have got to come out firing. So this is a game where holding fire until you see what's happening in the Bulls-Cheetahs game may not be the worst plan. And we've got a points line here of 53.5.
Yeah, you've got to be a very, very brave man to back either of these teams at the moment. Before, like you said, before that Bulls and Cheetahs game, I won't even put this game into a multiple at this stage. You have to wait to see what happens here, because if the Cheetahs lose, then you have to go for Western Province, because the Sharks have been very good, but the Sharks won't worry about the game then. And if the Cheetahs win, then you've got to go strong for the Sharks. So you have to wait for that game. Brent, that points line. This week in Cape Town, we have had a crazy amount of rain. Like, it's been raining non-stop, and this game is at the Cape Town Stadium again. So that field is, like we saw in the URC final, it was muddy.
Yes.
It'll be muddy again. The rain will stop. It won't rain during the game, but it's going to be very wet, and there's no heat to damp get the damp away or anything. It's going to be muddy. It's going to be a heavy field in my opinion. So 53.5 looks high, especially if the Sharks have to win the game as well. Then that under 53.5 looks good as well. I think under, even though it looks low for a Currie Cup game, I think under 53.5 is a good bet there.
I'll just see for Reed's comment, Province have to win. What team will pitch? And also, what pitch will we get in this game? Because, yes, I'm with Hendrik there, probably leaning towards the unders. Just to mention Western Province motivation for this game, guys. Everyone assuming Province have to win. But that also may not even be a factor by the time it comes. Because if, am I right in saying, if Griquas win? No, if Griquas win and the Bulls win, and the Pumas pick up a couple of bonus points, then Western Province are gone. So it just is one of those games that you might want to hold fire and just see what the various teams' motivations are. But anyway, before we get into the best bets, we're going to do our draw now, see how the system works. It's the first time I've used it, so got no idea. So your last chance, hashtag RWC. Quickly post that now if you want to be entered into the draw for the 500 Rand free bet. And I'm going to have a look at one more comment, and then I'm going to bring that up. Unders is a good call for Reed. Also agreeing on the unders there. Right. Let's bring up the lucky draw. This is now for the 500 Rand prize, and we'll see how it works. What have we got here? 11 entries, and I'm going to hit the draw button, and let's see what happens. Don't finish on good for the game, please. Slowing down. Werner Hesselman, well done. You've won the draw there, Werner. So well done. You can email me, brent@goodforthegame.co.za, and I'll explain to you how to get your prize if you're not a PokerBet account holder already. But even if you are, I'll just explain that. So brent@goodforthegame.co.za. Well done to Werner. Right, a good win. It's quite a nice little addition to there, and could make for some nice competitions during the World Cup as well. Well done, Werner. Right, Henrik, we're on to the best bet part of the show now. You and I both a little more sober than we were last week. We're a little cautious, but what do you fancy across the two competitions?
Yeah, Brent, my best bet is the Lions minus. I think they will go to Welcome and beat that minus 23.5. And then second best, I'd say the Brumbies to beat the Hurricanes. But yeah, Lions best bet. And then Brumbies, I don't like anything strong on the points here. Maybe a bit of the unders in Cape Town, but I don't have strong points fancies.
Yeah, what's your bet? You and I very much, excuse me, aligned.
Will we have to wait for the newsletter to see your best bet?
Probably have to wait for the newsletter to see what the best bet is, but it's not going to probably be too far off. The only other one I want to throw into the mix there is the Griquas on the minus. I like them quite strongly as well. I do like you. You've certainly convinced me on the Lions, although I was leaning in their direction. Farid says the Chiefs all the way, and we'll have to see. I'll certainly put another accumulator together. The newsletter, as I say, the best bet won last week, and that was about one of the few highlights of the week for me. But anyway, thanks first of all to all the boys on the live chat. Let's quickly put up your Huns treble before we knock off. Unders in Western Province, Lions minus, and Brumbies win. Johan, good to know you'll be shouting home the Brumbies with us there. Thanks to the guys in the live chat. Well done to Werner for winning the competition. And Henrik, thanks a lot, man. All the best to you for the weekend, and let us know what the weather's doing in Cape Town this weekend.
Yeah, thanks, Brent. Yeah, probably one of our shortest shows in a long time. I see it's only 32 minutes in. The weather, we're still expecting a bit of rain tomorrow morning. After that, few spits of rain after that, but it's going to be cold, and the field is going to be wet. It's going to be muddy and it's going to be wet for that game. So yeah. I don't have to tell you after that. That's how it's going to be. So if you fancy points in that one, you're gonna have to be lucky. I think that
you're gonna have to sweat it out. There's no doubt about it.
Especially if the Sharks have to play something to play for, because then they're going to be switched on the fence as well. But yeah, good luck to all the guys for the weekend. I hope you and me can get back into the green for the weekend. But yeah, good luck to everyone, and thanks for having me on the show again.
Excellent. Great to have the undertaker, Hendrik Swart, on the show. Thanks, guys, in the live chat. We'll see you next week, Thursday, for the Handicap, a rugby chat that matters. And guys, give a bit of thought to how we should do it in the World Cup. Thinking of even maybe having a daily show, one every 2 days, just to cover the World Cup. I think it's going to be absolutely massive. Anyway, till next week, good punting.